Watch this video. It's gonna be a vulnerable one, but then let's talk.
The thing about inheriting your father's problems or your father's rage as a girl, it's not cute like inheriting your mother's rage. I don't even think they've made any movies about it. So it's usually hyper independence and isolation. And people don't like that. They like the manic pixie dream girl that needs people around her and will do anything to bring people to them and will put up with anything just to have somebody around and not be abandoned. But when you are your father and you're a girl, you burn everything to the ground. You destroy every fucking thing. It's not cute. People don't like that. People don't like women who destroy things. People like women who destroy themselves.
A lot of thoughts about this. So I jotted them down in the handy dandy notebook so I don't lose them. But first of all, hi, for those of you who are new here, my name is Shayna. I'm a journalist, talk a lot about decentering men, child-free living, all of that. So if that sounds like a vibe, please like, share, subscribe, all that great stuff, and participate in the conversation in the comments section. If you hear anything that resonates, always appreciate a super thanks. No pressure, always appreciate it. Especially because my hair blow dryer just broke when I was in the Canary Islands. Sure, I did notice at one point that it started smoking, but it never started smoking before. Basically, I need to buy a new one, and they just canceled my health insurance, so anything that you can give would really be appreciated. But anyway, so sorry, we're getting back. So first thing, this a father's rage in a daughter looks different in every woman who's had a difficult relationship or a non-existent relationship with her father. It's not necessarily about burning the world down or about destroying the other. It can look like a lot of ways, but I want this video to focus a little bit more about the ways that were mentioned within that video. You know what I mean? First of all, I want to mention the manic pixie dream girl archetype that was brought up in this because I think that the manic pixie dream girl is a luxury that is only afforded to white women or lighter skinned women. For those of you who have heard the phrase but aren't entirely sure what it is, I really like the way that Backstage breaks it down, not just from what the archetype itself is, but how this archetype, how this character type engages with others. And Backstage being primarily for actors, I think that this article is great for it. One second. And this is the article. If you're curious about it, I'm going to link it below also. Elusive as a unicorn and equally as mythical, manic pixie dream girls represent men's desires to have their emotional needs met by a romantic partner. No reciprocation necessary. Here's how to spot this archetype, plus ways to elevate it above pure fantasy. What is a manic pixie dream girl? This term refers to a female supporting character who solely exists in a story as a catalyst for growth in the male lead. The manic pixie dream girl tends to enter the narrative just as his life falls apart. Her only mission is to help him evolve as a person. Skipping down a little bit, a manic pixie dream girl is the embodiment of a certain male fantasy, a charming woman who isn't like other girls and has no desires of her own. While she possesses personality traits or a backstory that suggests a fully fleshed out character, the story gives her little to no space to develop, learn, or advance her own interests. Because of racist stereotypes, this kind of archetype does not work for Black women. We are slotted as, especially if you are a darker skinned Black woman or just a darker skinned girl at all, especially if you're Black, trying to sit into, whether it's intentional or unintentionally, fit into this kind of manic pixie dream girl archetype. People see us as danger, as a problem, stereotyped as drug using, etc., right? There is a space that colorism and white supremacy allows for women that benefit from those systems. There's a space that is given to them to be chaos in a way that does not necessarily involve reciprocating a man's affection, as was stated before. For darker skinned Black women, for more melanated people, especially if you're a black woman, I really want to emphasize this. We are slotted into mammies. We are slotted into magical Negroes. These are not seen in a cutesy, like romantic, as a sexual kind of, it's not slotted into those kinds of spaces. So when a father's rage, when a daughter embodies her father's rage in a way that looks outside of this, it makes people uncomfortable. Now, I would like to make a distinction between something else that was mentioned in that previous video, because I think that the people that are constantly looking for to people please, to have a bunch of people always around them, and this wasn't mentioned, but I see it under the same umbrella, like people that might lean further into dangerous levels of promiscuity, unsafe sex, right? That's not necessarily, in my mind, embody like having your father's rage so much as having your father's insecurities, if this is a kind of pain that is related to a paternal trauma. Now, I can share, it's going to be hard to fit it into one video, but if anybody's curious about my relationship with my biological father, it's a doozy. It's a doozy. It's arguably the first video that I made to go viral on TikTok. It's how I got the wild amount of followers that I have. Don't follow me on TikTok. I'm so shadow banned over there. I barely post anymore. But if you're curious, let me know. I can put everything on here and kind of put it all into one package. But circling back to this video and my handy dandy notebook, women burning themselves to the ground will always be palatable. Women burning others is an upheaval of the patriarchal system. And this is not condoning that kind of behavior, but feminine rage is always more thought out, which makes it more terrifying in its nuances. And it could actually genuinely destroy the world. And I think that's why so many people, including the women that embody this kind of rage, because even if you feel as though you have inherited your father's rage, it's never going to be it's never going to be your father's rage because it's in your body. And if you identify as a woman, if you identify as having a very prominent feminine energy, I'm not huge into like those kind of fans, but if you identify as a woman or a femme, like that rage is going to learn how to sit in this new capacity, which is you. And it's one of the big reasons why female villains are so much scarier than male villains. It's one of the reasons why female serial killers they get caught way less often, because when anger, when violence, when whatever sits in a woman, it becomes wild, and it becomes all of the things that are feminine in this world, like art, like culture, like wind, like water, like dance. Like it becomes all of these things, but in a darker shade, which is terrifying. Now, I don't think that I've ever had my father's rage, because I don't think that my father has a rage to hold on to. My dad is basically a human version of King Julian from Madagascar. So that might not be my thing, but that being said, I recognize that there is a unpredictability that I have that my younger brother had for a little bit, but he's out of, but that kind of unpredictability that my father definitely had. I am my father's daughter more than my brothers who look like my dad are my father's sons, if that makes sense. So while I don't really know what healing from a rage that is not your own can look like outside of therapy, I recognize that it is a form of ancestral trauma. It is something that could potentially sit in the DNA in the same way that slavery does, in the same way that racism affects Black people at a genetic level. And I'm probably going to make a video about that. And when I do, I'm going to tag it right up here. But yeah, because, and this could be a hot take, this could be a controversial take, but I don't think all rage is bad. I don't think all rage is bad. I think that what people in the United States, what people around the world are experiencing when it comes to the atrocities in Palestine, in Tigray, in Sudan, in Congo, in Haiti, in Puerto Rico, and in Hawaii, and in all of the other colonized spaces around the world, we are experiencing a kind of rage that is leading us into action. And I don't know if while I do recognize that joy is a powerful thing, that being able to experience liberation through joy would actually create long-term positive effects and rollout, we are not in that space globally right now. So the thing that is really mobilizing us is our rage. And not to say that we need to, for the people that are experiencing their father's rage, that we need to sit in that in a way that will eat us or burn us alive or burn somebody else to ash. I don't think that that's the answer, but that it is an ignition towards something. Whatever that something is, you got to figure out what that is for yourself. But it is an ignition in that something needs to be done. And maybe something does need to be burned. But that doesn't have to be you. And that doesn't have to be another person. Maybe it's an institution. Maybe it's a pattern. Maybe it's a way of being. Maybe it's data cannot deal with you anymore. I am creating a hard boundary. We're going no contact. Or maybe it's I cannot handle other people bringing up this trauma in a joking kind of way at family gatherings anymore. Hard boundary. You bring it up again, I'm done. Maybe it's something else, but I feel like that kind of rage, whenever an emotion is big enough, it's leading you towards an action. You got to figure out what that action is. But I don't think that rage is necessarily a bad thing. But that's me. That's me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'm curious if that resonates or does not with others. But that is all for now. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that great stuff. And let's continue this conversation. All right. Bye-bye.